So me and Sam are here to go down the rabbit hole and tell you whether Mario plus Rabbids Spark of Hope is as good as we hoped it would be. Because we both played the first game and both absolutely loved it. So maybe we're coming at this biased?
I feel like I'm also very hungry for a Mario game generally. So I think I'm a bit doubly biased because the first game was brilliant.
Have Ubisoft performed a bit of a magic trick by pulling an even better Rabbids game out of a hat than last time?
I see what you're doing with these questions.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I see what you're doing. They have performed a magic trick by pulling a better Rabbids out of the hat. It's interesting because I think the biggest difference for people who play the first game and who play games like XCOM and stuff and strategy games that obviously have inspired this game is the removal of the grid. Like it seems like a very simple thing to do, but quite revolutionary as well, because like the majority of these games are very, stoic, very turn-based, very like, I know I have like 3 action points or whatever. Whereas this is like, you have a range of movement that you can move between, but being able to move your characters freely within that and kind of tweak things and make adjustments. So like the point where your character's position gets locked is when they fire their weapon. You can team jump, you can use your Sparks abilities, which I'm sure we'll get onto in a minute. You're free to do whatever you want.
So I do this strategy. So within the game, there's a health-based system, as there always is, but you can heal your whole team, but it heals all of your team. What I've been doing is I've been trying every level with whoever I have at the highest health. Because it's like I was healing people that had full health and I was getting annoyed. So I was putting in characters that was like, you are terrible, I don't like using you. But then you
find like the pros and cons.
You still have your mains. You still have your team, which is obviously mine's Luigi, Rabbid Peach, and then probably Mario, depending. I'll switch it in because you need a healer and a range, and then whoever else.
So for me, it was Mario, Rabbid Peach, and Edge. The new who is amazing. She's
with a
like
sword. She's so good.
But she's also very good at dashing. So she can you can upgrade her dash. So she can do like 3, which is like you just kick out the legs from all of the enemies as you go around. So, but now I've also got Bowser, who's also very good, and he has like a freaking massive rocket launcher that deals like 1,000 damage. But he's also got these little tiny robots that he can send out, and like then they'll explode. So like little walking bombs.
Wow.
Which is very useful. Yeah. So Mario and him kind of get interchanged, basically. So
what we're trying to say is
they're all good,
and there's a lot of depth to this game. There is a surprising amount. They've opened up things like taking the grid away, and they've added a couple of extra things, but the depth in here of the strategy is insane, and the link and the way that they work together as well multiplies that depth, and there's so much to this.
I also like the fact that some levels force you to use specific characters. Like I just did one that was the King and the Kid, or the Kid and the King, or something like that, and it was like it forced you to use Rabbid, Luigi and Bowser together, and it was quite an interesting dynamic. But I think, and also like the other big change is the sparks themselves. So like the titular characters are Rabbid Lumas from Super Mario Galaxy, and they give your team elemental powers, electric or fire or water or ice, and like you can switch them in and out as well. So like in that point where you can see the level, you can use your little beepo to then survey the enemies you've got and what elemental pros and cons they've got, or weaknesses and resistances, which is great because then you can be like, oh, actually I don't need the shock ones, I can move in the water ones and stuff. So it's like I spend so much time like prepping. I'm so used to playing games where I just like go straight in and like get on with it and everything's kind of locked, whereas this is like you can you
win and lose the game on the prep. I think more
the amount of times I just
else.
Restarted the battle because I'm like, I've made a mistake here. Like I need to switch this person out, or I needed, Peach's barrier thing because these guys are all like evil melee guys. Or,
So some characters are way more susceptible to melee damage, or you have to get close to them. So then, but then they're also susceptible to splash or water or whatever. So you're like, right, I have to get a melee character in there with water, and if you don't do that,
you are screwed.
And so it's just this thing of like restart, but it is quite helpful where you can
change the difficulty at any time as well. Like I've just been playing it on normal, but you can switch to easy or hard, and like it is a challenging game, like especially some of the boss battles. Like I have had to be like, and everything's leveled as well, so like it really challenges you if you're trying to do something that's like even one level higher than you. They are going to take you to town with the damage. It's just like, I need to go back and like find some grunts to kill. And
there's even an invincibility mode where if you just want to play the story, it's say you're a kid, your characters can't take any damage. So you can give it to a younger kid and just be like, hey, here, play with Mario, play with Rabbids. It's great.
Yeah, it's like it's got such a spectrum like of how you want to play it. Like if you're like hardcore like strategy game, dial it all the way up to the hard mode and go for it. But for me, like normal is a great challenge, and
you don't need to dial it up. It's just hard enough as it is.
It never locks you into anything. Like if you get into a boss fight and you're like, I am woefully unprepared for this, you can just be like, I want to go back to exploring, and it's not gonna like some games where you're locked into a boss battle and that's all you can do. You just got to beat your head against it. Whereas this game doesn't do that, which is great.
What we're trying to say is we're caught like a rabbit in the headlights with the depth of this game and the new mechanics. Just
slotting that one in there.
Yeah, just so the only other thing, I think Nintendo or Ubisoft and Nintendo are as mad as March hares to not include there's more, to not include co-op or multiplayer in this. I don't know if the DLCs will bring it down the line, but the fact that somebody can't, especially when you have a team of 3 and you could be against another team of 3, or you could control one of the characters, or like and some of the maps are so great as well.
The maps are genuinely amazing.
Yeah, and they're all different.
Every main story mission is different and unique, and each of the worlds that you travel to is beautiful. For me, co-op's not a deal breaker.
No, it's not.
It feels like such a complete single player experience that I just don't think it would. But then I also think like that's exactly the kind of board game I like to play, where it's like you have to like really heavy communication and like making sure that your strategy's like down pat. Like local multiplayer would have felt like a fantastic way to do it.
It's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, this would be so good.
And like with the last game, there was like a dedicated co-op campaign that came with the DLC. So maybe they'll do that. And I know that they've already said that there's like at least a year's worth of content planned for post-launch, including Rayman, Return of Rayman.
So the other thing that's really amazing about this game, there's so much to do here.
Yeah.
It's great.
That's what makes it feel much more like a Super Mario game to me. It's like there are little side quests. There's like the classic red ring sort of timed races, and now there's green rings as well, which I'm not sure how I feel about. It's not only like a fantastic strategy game, but it's also like there's so much to do to level up your characters, but also just have fun. Like
find the penguins.
Find the penguins, or like build an igloo, or return the pumpkins to the scarecrow, pumpkin heads to the scarecrows. Like the Rabbids series generally, like have always been fantastic at like it's just really joyful, and I feel like it's like the perfect time for this game, because like all of the games that are coming out around it are quite dark and heavy, and like you got like Scorn and God of War Ragnarok, which is going to be amazing, but also quite serious.
What does it mean to be a father?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas it's just like, hey, we're fighting a caterpillar on the back of a train. Yeah. Like this is fine. So it's just one of those amazing games that's just like it's really hardcore in its depth if you want it to be, but it's also like silly and fun, and you're playing with Bowser as a good guy, and like, you know, old pal Bowsy's in the group now, and it's just like between Bowser and Edge and Rabid Rosalina, who's just like, oh my god, I can't believe you're making me fight, like I want to be reading. And it's like she does great slightly if you've got her as the lead character. When you're walking around, she's just whinging because
they say little every now and again, they'll pop in with little sayings when they do certain special abilities, or when you're running around. And, but I found myself laughing. My missus was like, what are you giggling at? And it was just Rabid Rosalina, literally just the way she like shrugged and picked something up. But the mannerisms, like you say, they're just like Mario and everything is very light-hearted and stuff, but the Rabbids have got their own little niche within that's so funny, and it's so personalized and so well done. Enough rabbiting on. Final thoughts.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a genuinely excellent game. I've given it 9 out of 10, 4.5 stars, so just a smidgen off the top spot. I think for me, the bits that's missing is like there's quite a sharp difficulty curve spike when you get to World 3, when things get a lot more complicated with the elemental powers, and does take a little bit of getting used to, and I feel like there's quite a level gap, like you've got to grind a little bit.
There are also bits around that time as well where they don't tell you certain things.
Exactly.
Like I text you a couple of times being like,
what am I doing?
What am I doing wrong? And like there are certain enemies where I hate tutorials, but they tell you their weaknesses to like element, but they won't tell you, but you have to damage them in this specific way with that. And you're like, oh, okay, if I'd have known that, that's still tricky, but you didn't even tell me to do that.
One of the boss fights as well, like it requires you to hit 3 of the gooey eyes at once. Which is actually really tricky if you haven't gone in with like
on the same turn.
In the same action, like in the same attack. Like you can't do it like
Whereas
all
before,
in one round or whatever.
same gooey eyes, you can
Yeah.
hit them at any point and it's fine.
Exactly.
But then all of a sudden it changes and it never tells you that those changes have happened.
And there aren't that many area of attack sparks at that point, so actually it gets quite tricky unless you've got like the right character, and it's a long battle as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think just for me there's a little lack of signposting and tutorialing for some of those bits, and also just like it felt so much harder even though I'd done everything I possibly could in the snowy world and the first world, and I still felt underprepared. I think that's the thing that is just nipping it off that top mark.
It's still amazing though. I can't speak highly enough of this game.
It's really,
so
really
good.
fun, funny, full of depth, full of personality. Yeah, 4.5 stars easily from both of us, right?
Oh, 100%. It's so much fun.
Go play it. We implore you.
Go play it. Please play it.